Alrighty, we are here for ShotCast episode 6.
Showtime.
666. Drake voice. We're here. So Lang, still from last week, I know that you weren't feeling the best.
Man.
You're still not feeling the best.
Can't hold me down, though, but yeah, man. I've had enough of this.
That's a long sickness.
Thanks, man.
1 week, 2 weeks.
2 weeks, man. 2 weeks today. That was the day I canceled on you, was that Thursday.
Well, good thing is you sound better than last week, man.
Hope so.
It's all mindset from here.
For sure.
Yeah, so we're here today, and it's funny that we talk about being sick because today we're here to talk to you about getting out of your slump. Getting out of your slump. You ever been in a slump before?
I know I have.
You know, I say I'm a motivator, inspirer. You know, I try to inspire. And even I get in slumps. Matter of fact, I was in a slump a few days ago, and I got out of it yesterday.
What is a slump, man?
What is a slump? Can we define that? Because I know my definition is not going to be spot on.
Let me see what I got. So, let's see. To assume a slouching or bowed or bent position. Okay, we're not talking about that kind of slumped over kind of thing.
All right.
But
Posture.
here's I think why we brought it up, and I know you're going to go into it, but a decrease, decline, or deterioration, a period of decline or deterioration. And I bet there's been some bad slumps in this world from time to time. I'm sure individually we've had them. I'm sure nationally, globally, but there's some slumps. Talk to the dinosaurs. I bet they were in a rough slump at some point.
Yeah.
It's not here anymore.
Probably the roughest.
Yeah, I got it. But
Yeah.
What was the slump you were in?
It's kind of what it means to me. I mean, it means for me when I'm not at my all-time high, when I'm not focused on the mission, when I'm not executing on my goals, and when I feel like I'm deteriorating, pretty much not accomplishing my goals, not working towards my goals, moving backwards in life to me means that I'm in a slump. If I'm not moving forward, I'm moving backward. If I'm moving backward, I'm probably in a slump. And that's what I found myself in a few days ago. And I'm just trying to think about how it started. And I really don't know how it started. I worked out last week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I had 4 days strong, straight in a row.
You told us about it in the last podcast.
Yeah, I told you about it the last podcast. Sunday was my off day. You know, I got a massage with the missus. That was nice. Took her out to eat. Had a good time. Monday, took the day off. The massage therapist suggested I take at least 24, 48 hours because I did a deep tissue massage. Came home to some bad food. Had her cousin visit from Albania. So he brought some sweets with him. Ate some sweets with him. Ate some bad food. And then we talked about last week, everything connects. Those bad decisions started connecting for me. I ate bad food. I didn't wake up early the next day. I went a little late to work. Got to work. Didn't have the most productive day ever. And didn't go to the gym again on Monday or Tuesday. And that's when I was really in that slump where Wednesday came around and I'm ordering pizza at lunch. And I'm like, what the hell's going on, right? And after work, I was hitching a ride from work. I'm trying to find a car right now. I haven't found the right car for myself. Hopefully we get that Escalade. That was one of my goals for 2019. Just trying to find the right one. Then I was getting a ride home from work from my boy Ratty. And he was telling me, hey, just come to the gym with me. You know, I'll get you a guest pass. We'll go. And I'll drop you off at home after. I'm like, man, I already ate bad today. I'm not really got the energy for it. Worked our asses off. I just kind of want to go home and kick it. He's like, hey, man, what do you talk about in your podcast or your ShotCast? What are you saying? You're saying that when something debacles your plan, don't let it debacle your plan. Keep moving forward. And now you're telling me that you don't want to do this, right? So I'm like, you know what, man, let's go. Let's go to the gym. Let's get it done. So we end up going to the gym. We get the job done. I didn't have the best workout of my life. It was probably, dragging myself through the gym. But even Joe Rogan says dragging yourself through the gym is better than nothing. So I dragged myself through the gym. I got through with that workout. When I walked out, God damn, it felt good. I'm like, okay, that's a small win. And I felt a little better. And then guess what happened after that? That small win got me a little bit out of the slump. And the next day in the morning, I woke up early. And then I went to work. And then I ate clean. I got another small win. And then I went to the gym after work and another small win. And I started focusing on those wins. And now, before you know it, today I worked out. I'm here with you. We're doing this again. I ain't eating after this show. I'm going to go straight to sleep. That's a word, to the grave, to all of you watching, listening. And I got out of the slump. But the funny thing is that this happens once so often, and I feel like it happens to everybody. And why do we get into the slump? And how do we stop ourselves from getting to the slump? Or is it okay to get into a slump? Like, these are the kind of things I'm thinking about right now. I know a lot of people get stuck in the slump. Is it okay to get in a slump, and how do you get out of the slump? That's kind of what I want to talk about today.
That's good, man. I appreciate you sharing, especially being on this. Man, you definitely have a legacy about you, man, and people look at you as the one that's going to get them out of their slump. So to hear that maybe you're in a slump, like, what? Yeah. Oh my gosh. And so I think it's important, man. We're all human, and we all have them. And I think it's really a mindset thing, depending on what's going on in our lives. But here's what I tell you, and from my experience, it's at the end of the day, we're not focused on our goals. That's it. If you are truly focused and fighting for something, there's the chances of a slump popping in there, man, I really think it's slim. Now, I do think we all go through it, because nobody's rocking 365 days of total focus on a goal and fighting for something, man. We're human, and we have emotions, and we feel sorry for ourselves from time to time, and you shouldn't feel bad about that. Just depends on how long are you going to stay in your slump. How many days are you going to let it fester? And so, to me, and listen, as we creep up on 2020, right? End of a decade.
Yeah.
You got a month and a half left in the decade, big fella. Yeah. How many decades you're going to be in? 8, 9 in your lives? And so we're about to end one.
I just hope I can make it through the next one.
Man, you got this. And so when we're thinking about goals, and maybe we'll talk about that more in the future, but I think it's a good time to introduce it. If you are focused on, if you wake up and say, this is what I want to accomplish today, and you lay it out and you prepare for it, I really think it's going to be difficult for you to get into a slump. And I don't think it needs to be more complicated than that. If somebody is laser beam focused on their goals, a slump is really not possible.
See, you say that, but I feel like I am laser beam focused on my goals. I mean, I try to write them down every single morning. I have it in front of me at work. I got a vision board. I got my goals printed out. So it was in front of me, and I still got into a slump.
Well, listen, I would challenge you and say it was in front of you. You told us that you took a day off work. You got a massage, you could take a day off work, and you woke up the next day. Maybe you get into work as early as you wanted to get. And so if you're not getting into work, first one like you normally are, I guarantee that you didn't wake up, have your oatmeal, and then look at your goals. So even though normally you do,
I didn't. Yeah,
right, for sure. Yeah. And so I'm not saying that anybody that struggles or what have you, we're all going to have a slump. We all will. And listen, sometimes you grip the bat so tight and you want it so bad, and man, I can taste it, and I can feel it, and I'm putting all this work in, and I deserve it, and you're still not getting a hit, and the slump continues. And so you can take it the other way by gripping that bat too tight. And so, but at the end of the day, I believe if you have clear goals and they're not, retirement 30 years out, and they're laid out, and I don't think a slump is going to be able to enter in. Or if it does, it'll be a blip on the radar and not something that is a month or 2 months like some of us, bump into every once in a while.
Yeah, I think it was a good experience for me, because usually that slump, and that happens to me once, I'll say once every 2 months maybe. On a regular basis, I'll find myself in a little dark zone like, man, I've been working so hard. I want to be here, but I'm still here. How do I get there? Why ain't I there yet? Is it all worth it? Sometimes we have those deep, dark thoughts. But the fact that all it took was somebody pushing me to go to the gym with them and calling me out on my bullshit, and me going to the gym, and now I'm back in my groove, I think that was an experience for me that now I learned that all it takes is one small win to get you back in your groove. And those 2 or 3 days that I wasn't in my groove and I was in that slump, is because I wasn't having any wins. I was having losses, and those losses were accumulating to more losses. And it's funny because every ShotCast we do connects to another ShotCast. And last week we talked about how everything in life connects. So it kind of links back to that. I think that when you're in a slump, the most important thing that you need to focus on, and what I learned, so now the next time I'm in a slump, I need to get a win. Hey, Lang, let's do a ShotCast. Let's go take a walk. Let's go to the gym. Anything. Even if I got to slump my way through, I got to focus on a small win right away, because now I know that that small win is going to accumulate to a bigger win, and then a bigger one. And now I'm at like 5 or 6 wins, and I feel like I'm back in the groove. So I am back now, and I feel like I'm 100 again. So I think it's okay to get in a slump. Maybe sometimes we think like, oh, we're in a slump. You know, like, what am I doing? Am I the person I say I'm supposed to be? Is this meant for me? Like, we go too deep maybe into our slump sometime that it kind of, self-destructs us. And for me, I think I learned a valuable lesson that when I am in a slump, I'm going to think about the small wins. Which small win can I get to first?
Yeah, listen, I think it's cool, man. The accomplishments are something. True accomplishments. I'm not talking about, okay, like you made it through first grade. Like, okay, your mom dropped you off and picked you up. Like, I don't know how you can screw that one up. But I'm talking about true accomplishments. Man, they're inspiring. They're motivating. And they don't all have to be huge ones. We don't have to always talk about graduating college or buying your first house or having a child. Like listen, just some wins. And you talked about it. You start stacking wins, and all of a sudden you wake up, and it's not like, man, I hope today's the day. Hope I figure it out. I hope the sun shines. Like, no, man. Like, you all of a sudden stack a couple, 3 accomplishments together, and now you wake up like, no one, I got this.
Yeah.
And I think it's important, man. So that, and you're not gonna be able to realize true accomplishments unless you have a goal planned out. And listen, it's such a big world out there. Like, the world is big, and we're in our little bubble in here. We do our little podcast and ShotCast. Man, shame on me. And so, but you know what? Perspective is such a huge part of what we do, and I think that's some of the stories that we get a chance to tell because other people have shared some things with us, or we've bumped into people along our travels. And so, I mean, I think it's good when you're thinking about goals and accomplishments. Sometimes it doesn't need to be, I need to lose a certain amount of pounds, or the hard stuff all the time. Sometimes, man, you need to put a carrot out there and say, hey, listen, if I do this, this, and this, and I save this, I mean, I'm going to whatever. I'm going to Maui. I'm going to whatever. It doesn't have to be Maui, but sometimes just getting out there and experiencing, giving yourself a carrot and give yourself something to shoot for is important, man. Get you out of a rut. Get you out of a slump.
Shoots back to what your boy Jordan Peterson was saying about the calendar. He said if you actually give yourself a win and a little celebration for executing on at least 70, 80% of your calendar, then maybe it won't be looked at as a prison, So I do A, B, and C, and I do this and that. Then I could go home and I could play games for an hour if that's what you want to do. Or I could go home and I could chill out, or I could go on a date, or so you celebrate those wins as well. So I think celebrating small wins is very important. That's something I learned through this experience. And then I know last week we were talking about how everything connects, and you told me that your connections with other people also connect to them and their circles. And now I'm thinking about, these small wins. How about people that we know that are in a slump? Now that I know the experience that I had and how one small win helped me get out of my slump, well, now when I'm working with my team or my friends or my family and somebody's in a slump, well, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to tell them, hey, man. Or, hey, gal, you're doing a great job right here. Or, hey, that was awesome what you just did right there. And I'm going to help them celebrate a small win and try to get them out of their slump. So I guess for anybody listening, I mean, the takeaway out of this first part of this, ShotCast is, if you're in a slump, focus on a small win. If you know anybody else in a slump, let them focus on a small win, or you help them celebrate a small win that they may not even realize. Because sometimes, you think everything's dark and gloomy, then somebody just comes up to you and said, hey, you did a great job doing this and this. And you're like, damn, I did. I didn't even know you were paying attention to that. And that could even be a picker-upper. So I think small wins are extremely important when you're in a slump.
No doubt. And listen, I think... I think there's a few ways to get out of a slump, man. We all have things we do well, and And listen, man, when it's tough and it's rough and it's cold outside and you think the world's caving in and all of that, man, sometimes you don't need to fight the dragon. You just need to go to your power move, your go-to move, just to get a couple of those wins. And maybe you're really good at something, but you know what? You're already good at it. So being good at that doesn't give you fulfillment anymore because you're already good at it, right?
Yeah.
You want to take on new challenges, and you take on those new challenges and maybe you fail and it struggles. So now you're in that slump that you talk about. Man, go back to the thing that you're really good at and inspire somebody or inspire yourself, because sometimes you just need a win. You just need a win to get up out of it.
Yeah.
And don't ignore the stuff that you are good at. Something happened to me. Listen, something happened to me today, right? So I like getting up and speaking in front of a group. I like it. Matter of fact, I love it. Let's just go ahead and say I love it.
That's what you're doing right now.
But for sure. But I'm talking about in front of 100 people, 200 people.
Yeah.
I like the adrenaline rush.
Right,
I like the nervousness of, am I prepared? Am I not? Do I have some value to add? Is there some fire that I'm going to have people walking out and be inspired?
Yeah.
Because if it's not, I'm nervous and I didn't do my thing. And so listen, we just like you, we all have challenges and things of that nature. And so I angled a little bit today. I knew that we were getting up in front of my leadership group was getting up in front of a group of people. And so I asked a couple questions, knowing that they would probably put that back on me, and the group did. And so all of a sudden in an hour, getting up in front of 120 people, and I need to,
Nice.
and I did, man. And it was, man, I'm still 8 hours later and I'm still like fired up.
Awesome.
I wasn't going to talk about this, but I got a chance to get up in front of folks and I let it loose. Afterwards, people came up to me that I didn't even know. I hadn't even met yet because I'm new to this group, and they patted me on the back. And you know what? Sometimes you need that win. So I guess there's stuff that you're really good at, that you've made an impact with people, and don't shy away from that when you need to, man. Go to your go-to move. Don't try to be Shaq bringing the ball up the court. Park your big butt down on the block and use those 300 pounds and do what you do best.
Yeah, it's crazy that you say that, because just 2 weeks ago in our ShotCast talking about getting out of your comfort zone, you said that was something you were uncomfortable doing in the beginning, speaking in front of a group, and you said that you have to practice and get your thing. Just think about that. That was you 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever it was. And now you're at a point, just think about that progression where you're like asking questions to set up the fallback on yourself to get in front of a group with no preparation and just get that adrenaline rush and just fire some people up. And from what you told me, you did a great job and you got some great feedback from it. So
I did.
That's just crazy. And that
gave me some confidence I needed. I needed some confidence today.
Yeah, so it's just crazy that, that was something you're uncomfortable with, and now you jump right in front of it and it's something you're used to. So that's also good. Have you been in a slump recently, or do you get in slumps traditionally?
Yeah, I think we all have, and we all will. I've been in a slump. 3-4 months ago, I had I won't say a career change, but came back home to what I did for a long time after venturing out and building something, and I would probably say I was in a little bit of a slump at that point. And so,
how'd you get out?
It was uncomfortable, and I think a lot of times when we're uncomfortable, maybe we don't feel worthy or feel like we're doing something wrong, we go within. We start feeling sorry for ourselves, or we start defending ourselves, or we start making excuses, or the stuff that happens in the mirror all the time. And so I recognized it, and the one thing, and I don't mean to have, listen, we even talked about this, I don't mean to have this a recurring theme, or the fact that there's not enough content to bring on this amazing ShotCast, but involving other people, I cannot tell you how important it is, and especially your vulnerability. So nobody wants to go up and somebody and say, hey, man, how are you doing? I'm in a slump. Can you help me out? Nobody wants to do that. We want to go up and say, I'm on fire, man. And so for me, I needed to involve other people. And I didn't necessarily know. Listen, we don't share things in our lives because we don't know what the person that we share it with is going to do with it.
Yeah.
Right? That's the danger.
Yeah.
You might go run and tell the whole town, and now I look like a dummy.
Yeah.
So there's a risk there when you share. But I did, and I didn't know what was going to happen, and we talked through some things, and it allowed me to, involving some other people, got me back to my home, and I wouldn't have happened on my own, but it was even just thinking about it as you made me think about this. It really solidifies even how important it is to involve other people, not just your Instagram happy moments, but when stuff is dark or when stuff is tough. And it doesn't have to be
have a support group,
grave tough, but when things are challenging, man, go ask somebody for help. Not only will you might find out that they have the answer to get you back on track, but you've given somebody else an opportunity to help somebody.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't mean to be like, that makes the world go round.
No, 100%, because everything connects.
Everything connects.
Like this guy Ratty that called me out on not going to the gym and told me, yo, you talking about this stuff in your ShotCast, how you trying to go? I'm like, he probably doesn't even know the connections that made for me as far as going to that gym that one day, and now I'm back on my streak. Also, it's good. It's good. It's good that now I know that, it's okay to be in a slump, just getting out of that slump.
No doubt.
Involve other people and focus on the small wins and get out of it. And if you're in a real bad slump, there's something that I do that really helps me out, and I'm not sure if it's universal. Maybe I'll ask you because I'm not sure if you do this, but sometimes when I'm in a real dark slump, it feels good to just reset. And what I mean by reset, I mean whether that means going to the drawing board and rewriting my goals and my purpose and why I'm doing everything that I'm doing. That's one way to reset. Another way that I reset is going to take a walk in the woods. I know that scientifically speaking, walking in nature just, nurtures your mind and clears your mind for you and makes you, a little more focused. So sometimes I'll go take a walk in the woods and I'll come out of the woods just knowing everything, just solving the pieces to the puzzle. And then lastly, if I'm really, really in a dark slump, a vacation. Sometimes a vacation really does a trick for me. And it doesn't have to be a lazy vacation or a vacation where you go backwards in life, but a vacation where you go there and you focus on your goals and you do some self-reflection. So something that really helps me when I'm in a dark slump is self-reflection. And when I mean self-reflection, there's 3 ways I do that. It's either going to the drawing board, taking a nice walk in the woods, or meditating and just clearing my mind. Or if I'm really, 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 deep into a slump and I really need a change, I'll take a small vacation, even if it's a weekend away by myself in Arizona, Florida, Mexico, whatever it is, just going out there by myself, waking up with nothing on my plate and no schedule at all, switching things up and really reevaluating myself and what I'm doing. And that always helps me really come back strong. As a matter of fact, every single time I come back from a vacation, that first month I'm on absolute fire with my goals and everything I'm doing. It's really a nice refresher.
Yeah, man. I think it's interesting. You brought up 3 things that are totally different. We're talking about redoing goals, taking a walk, or hopping on a plane.
Yeah, so these are the 3 ways that
That's good.
That's how I define self-reflection for myself and resetting. That's why I was going to ask you, do those 3 things help you? I just want to know if it's universal or if it's maybe just something with me.
Well, I already talked about the goal, so that's near and dear to my heart, and I agree 100%.
Yeah.
If you want to get out of a slump, just put a focus on what you want, what you desire, man, and that's it. And when you're fighting for something, it's hard to stop.
So you agree that's universal?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't do too many walks in the woods. Maybe I should, though, man. So it's good feedback. The trip thing is interesting because I bet you, as you say it, people are like, well, sure, man, I would love to go to Arizona. I'd love to go to Florida. I'd love to go to Maui, whatever it is. Sure, that's real easy. But I don't have the funds like that. And I would just challenge the group. I would challenge anybody listening because, it's interesting. I was just detailing how much money I spent today on nothing. Like $100 I spent, and I'm not going to have anything to show for it when I go to bed tonight. And so I'm like, wait a second. So you talked about a trip, and so I'm wondering, like, man, I want to get out of here for a 4-day weekend. And I think the trip thing is cool because you get to be around different people in a different environment, and you're you talk about a pattern interrupt. You're going to bump into different things, different nature, different religions, maybe different
connections,
man, all types of stuff. And you might meet somebody that you still contact, anyways. But back to my point, man. I don't have $2,000 sitting around for a 4-day weekend up north, whatever it is, to get on the ski slopes.
You don't need it.
But here's the deal. I bet I do. I just spent $100 on nothing today. I don't even know what I got. I got lunch. I got some gas in the tank. And so, if I really wanted to, and I was fighting for it, and I put my goals together, in a couple months, I could put $2,200 aside if I really wanted it.
Yeah.
If I packed a lunch for what? We're talking about 2 months. What is that? 40 business days?
Yeah.
I got to pack 40 lunches. If I said, listen, if you pack 40 lunches and, you can't, you might have to cut 1 or 2 things out. You could get yourself on a 5-day on a plane, where somewhere warm, especially in the wintertime here in Detroit world. But don't tell me you couldn't do it. You definitely can. Yeah. And you can have a heck of a 5-day thing. You got $2,200 in your pocket. You stay at a nice place. You have some money laid out for and man, who knows what that reset is like. So I agree with you. I just don't want people to think like I can take a walk in the woods, I can do my goals, but a trip, I ain't got no money for a trip, buddy.
Well,
and I would just challenge you that I bet you do.
Well, that's the whole point. It doesn't have to be a trip. And if it is a trip, you could save up money like you said you could, right? Shit, man.
That's a good point.
Listen, you don't got a criminal record. You could drive a Lyft or Uber for 3 weeks and make an extra $1,000 if you really wanted to. I'm saying if it's that important for you to take a vacation, don't say I can't do it. Just say I'm not willing to do it. That's number one. Number 2 thing I'll say is a vacation doesn't got to be expensive. Mm-hmm. I didn't say I'm going on a 5-star hotel on a resort all inclusive.
There you go.
A Mexico trip, I've paid $380 one time on a fucking a fare to Mexico and back with a hotel and a plane included for 3 days.
There you go.
So it's not that expensive to go. And even Florida or Arizona, I have a friend that lives in Arizona. I don't pay for a hotel. I stay at his house when I go down there, and I'll just level set down there. So I don't want you to think I'm talking about an extravagant trip for $2,000-$3,000.
Good.
So you could plan a cheap trip, number one. And even up north, I'm in Michigan. I could drive up north 2 hours, and I could just rent a cabin for $100. I don't have to go on a plane. So that's not the point. It doesn't matter where you're going. The destination is not the purpose here. The purpose is
the reset.
Is the reset.
Yeah.
And if you don't have enough for an extravagant vacation, take a regular vacation. And if you don't got enough for a plane, then drive somewhere out far. And if you don't got some money to drive somewhere out far, then go take a walk in the woods. And if you don't got time to take a walk in the woods, or you don't like to take walks outside, meditate inside your house and level set with the board and goals. So the whole point is a reset. It's not about where you're going, but for me that's very important. And I was just mentioning vacations because sometimes when I take that vacation, it's really the best level set I ever have. So that's one thing that really helps me out when I do that. But for anybody listening, the main key to take away from this is, level set, reset, however that is for you. It could be different for people out there.
For sure, man.
Is there anything different you could think of?
Maybe you see some family. Maybe there's some cousins, some things that, you used to hang with, but guess what? You don't have time for them. And they're not but an hour away.
Yeah.
And we tell ourselves all kind of reasons why I don't have time. But you know what? Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Yes, you do. Get with some family or get with some friends from high school or, heck, man, learn something.
Yeah.
Open up some Spanish.
Yeah.
Learn, try to get a hobby. Man, there's so much, but sometimes we get in our routine and you just got to snap yourself out of it. It's not as dire and dark as you think it is sometimes. And you know what? Look, you had a couple days of a slump, right? But because you're so focused on your goals and because you shared some things with the podcast, guess what? Somebody picked you up. They saw you on the side of the road. They grabbed you by the collar and said, let's go. And your slump was 2 days. That's not really a slump, by the way.
Yeah.
And so you're not going to stay in it too long.
That's a cheat day.
It's important, man. Yeah.
That's a cheat day.
For sure.
Now, the folks that this is an issue for, we should definitely address. And if you know any of these folks, you should definitely send them this video.
No doubt.
And if you are one of those folks, we're not calling you out heavy here. We're just saying it's time to make a change because there are folks that I know and I'm sure you know that get in a slump and what do? They start pulling everybody down with, don't you hate this and this? And again, that connects back to what you were talking about last week with everything connects with the negativity as well. But there are folks that stay in a slump, man. They're in a slump for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's like, God damn it, you're just going to throw away the whole month? Like, that's it? You're going to throw away the whole year? You're going to throw away, your goals for your health? You're going to throw away the whole relationship over one small fight? And there are people that do that, and they focus on that one small thing, and it lets them just, knock down their whole building and their whole house that they built. So for me, like, I don't know how you could do that. I don't know how you could work so hard on building a house and then just let it all fall down. Imagine you spent money on constructing a house, $100,000, and all that's missing is the final shingle on the roof, and then you just fucking knock that motherfucker down. And that's what I see people doing with their lives, that stay in slumps. So for those people listening that either you are that person or you know somebody that's that person, help them out. Let them listen to this. Let them focus on small wins, or help them celebrate small wins that they don't notice in their life, and they really need to reset, because doing that is not causing anybody any good.
And listen, we brought up some things that are hopefully something you might try with goals or resetting or a simple walk in the woods, and get in some Bikram yoga classes or whatever. But you know what? There's a ton of people in this world that have put the time and effort in, and they have this as a profession that you can go and talk to, right? Sometimes we need some help, Jack. We just do. And we're too proud or whatever the deal is, but man.
We're talking about therapists?
Go see somebody, man. Yes. Man, don't shy away from that. I know there's some negative stigma to it sometimes, but man, I feel like it's more open as the years that I'm living have gone on. But there's people that this is their thing. This is their main thing. And most of the time, employers cover that and whatever. And so, man, don't be afraid. And that, listen, it's just another thing of involving people, and maybe there's people you don't know, but just to get some stuff off your chest sometimes helps.
That's how I feel like that's part of my purpose and my mission, and that's why we're here. We are that therapy, and that's what I feel sometimes. Not only therapy for ourselves,
For sure.
but therapy for the people listening, for the people that, everyone listening has been in a slump, and hopefully you could take this and be like, all right, next time I'm in a slump, I remember that ShotCast. Mm-hmm. They said focus on small wins. What's the first small win I can focus on? They all said, Lang's been saying get people involved in every single one. Who could I get involved? They also said reset my mind. What's something that I could do to reset my mind? So this is your therapy. It doesn't got to be something that, if you don't got an employer, right? And if you don't got the luxury of reaching out to special help, then you have this. This is free. And there's a lot of it, right? And we're giving it to you.
Got it.
So the resources are endless. All right.
Some shots?
Yeah, we got some shots, man. It was pretty straight to the point today. I hope you realize that I'm showing my flaws. It's important to show your flaws and be vulnerable in life.
Appreciate you for that.
I ain't perfect. I ain't bulletproof, but I'm happy to tell you everything that happens in my life, because I want you to know the struggles. I want you to know the successes, and I want you to know that nobody has a perfect path to success. There's always going to be failures. There's always going to be doubt. There's always going to be slumps that you go through, and it's just about how you get out of it. It's so cliche, but that Rocky saying is so true, man. It's not about, what does he say? It's not about how many.
About getting knocked.
It's not about how many.
Get up.
Yeah, it's about how many times you can get hit and get. It's bottom line. It's about how many times you can get hit and get back up. Yeah, that's a good point. And that's what I look at it as. We were talking about something else earlier where you were saying that, people play on scared money. I don't want to do this and this. I don't want to get in a relationship because what if they break my heart? Mm-hmm. I don't want to buy a house because what if I need my money for this and that? So people play on scared money, and they don't realize that playing on scared money is never going to cause you to have any failures, because you're playing it so safe. And when you don't have any failures, you don't have any wins, because a failure is actually a win. Mm. The more you fail, the more you learn. The more you learn, the more you grow. The more you grow, the more you succeed. So all that stuff also connects. So don't play on scared money. So let's get straight to the shots, man. Why don't you hit us first?
Yeah. Excuse me. So I talked about the dinosaurs earlier in the thing. So if you talk about slumps, I don't know, that might be the worst slump of the history of the world. Or I don't know, maybe there's some other ones, but all of a sudden, hey,
you people die.
You're not here. The people, they're not here anymore. But here's the one thing that you can take from that is we are like a slump never lasts. It's never going to stay. There's never been a time in history where you're just in the slump. Like you live in Slumpville. It doesn't happen. Yeah. Never happens. However, we feel that way sometimes. We feel like this is never going to end. This is going to be like this forever. Man, you cannot fight history. You can't do it. Stop telling yourself that this is going to be the way it is and I'm never going to get out of it and all that. That's garbage. It's not true. Even to the dinosaurs, well, they ain't here anymore, but we took over, right? Or whoever species took over, whatever the deal is, the world is still going, right? It's never going to be forever. So if you knew that going in, then you know at some point this bad time will end. And if you have that confidence that you know this bad time will end at some point, then maybe you can stop putting so much emotion in it and you can focus on, listen, maybe today's going to be the day, so I'm going to focus on my goals. Or maybe today's going to be the day, so I'm going to take a walk. Or maybe today's going to be the day, so I'm going to hit that trip up like you talked about. Or maybe today's going to be the day, so I'm going to involve some other people. And eventually, it will end. The good times don't last forever. The bad times don't last forever. So don't stop convincing yourself that this is who you are, that failure is just part. No, stop. It never lasts forever. Even the worst recessions and all that stuff in the history that of our world never lasted forever. So if you know that, and that's a fact, then at some point, even if you're watching this, the bad time that you're feeling will end at some point. The heartbreak from your love life will end at some point. The struggle with the job will end at some point. It will end. Stop being in that, this is going to be who I am, because it will end. You just have to be ready to take advantage of it when your time comes. It's my shot.
That's awesome, man. And you said you got to wake up and say, today's going to be the day.
Yeah, man.
And I'm going to get out of it today. And I'm going to reset today. The funny thing is the people that stay in the slump are saying the opposite. Oh, here's another day. Oh, man, I got to go to this shitty job. Oh, it's my girl or my guy texting me. Oh, what the fuck do they want now? Here's another fight. And they're coming in the complete opposite, and that's why they stay in a slump. So I think it's a good thing that you said is it's all about what are you telling yourself when you wake up? What's that self-talk sound like? Are you coming into the day with a positive flow or a negative flow? All that connects, right?
No doubt.
So my shot, I mean, I've said it a few times. I'm going to just stick with it, man. My shot is to focus on the small wins. You know, it's like building blocks, you know, and that's how I feel. And that's what I learned from my experience. And that's going to be my shot. So next time you're in a slump, like I was in a slump, I was eating bad. Work wasn't going well. I was coming home and not, you know, hitting the gym like I wanted to. All it took for me was one workout that I slouched my way through that I didn't even feel like doing, but I forced myself to do it. It wasn't a good workout or a great workout, or it wasn't something that I was feeling great to go and I wasn't planning to go. I just went there. I went there with whatever I had. I got in there. I did it. It was a small win, the fact that I got in the gym, and it made me feel good. So my shot for you is if you're ever in a slump, just think to yourself, what's the easiest thing you could do to gain a small win? And once you figure out what that easy thing is for you to do to gain that small win, do it. And I promise you, once you do it, you're going to feel good about doing it. And then you know what happens after that? You focus on something a little bigger that's a win, and then something a little bigger. And now you're at the big wins again. Now you're back in your flow. So anytime you feel like you're in a slump, ask yourself, what's the first small thing I could do to get myself a fast win? And vice versa. If it's somebody you love or know or care about that's in a slump, help them acknowledge a small win that they have done. And I guarantee you, you will see their face glow up. They'll smile because they're not expecting them to be recognized for a small win. They're not expecting themselves to be recognized for a small win. So once you recognize them for it, they're going to be like, damn, I am doing something right. And that could help them get out of their slump. So focus on your small win. That's your building block. And for anybody you know that's in a slump, help them get out of their slump by focusing on a win that they haven't even realized or recognized that they have done. But it all starts with one block, links back to everything connects. One win leads to another win, and then one loss leads to another loss. So if you're in a streak of losses and you're in a slump, get out of those losses by focusing on a small win. The easiest one you could do first will do justice. And that's my shot for you.
Episode 6 in the books.
Episode 6. It's okay to be in a slump. It's what you do when you're in a slump.
Baby.
Yeah.
Just don't stay in there long.
It's what you do after the slump.
Excuses waste time, so don't make
Excuses waste time. Don't stay in the slump. The Great Depression came and went.
Sure
You know,
did.
it came and passed. We're back. You know, stocks went up and down. Home values went up and down.
Man. Nothing does.
Nothing lasts forever. Everything connects. ShotCast episode 6. We'll see you guys next week. Thanks so much.